Hey gamers, welcome to another episode of Bonus XP. Today we're chatting about The Legends of Zelda Wind Waker, and I have Scott and Zach today. Welcome, my fellow homos.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Scott, we are doing this mostly, not just because of our love of Legends of Zelda, but because you beat the game!
Yeah, you're doing this for me specifically. This bonus XP is for me and me only.
Yes.
So if you're listening, thank you, but this is for me.
Yeah, this has been in the works for years. Because
you have no idea. This
years.
is no idea. Yes, that's what I wanted to start with, because I wanted to say before we get started, I do want to thank our friend John, who has been very active in the Discord group, but Patrick has known for forever. Because John brought their Wii U to us recently, including Wind Waker. This is one of those games that people have been obviously asking me about for a long time, because I love Zelda games. So people are like, "Oh, you need to play Wind Waker. You need to play Wind Waker," and we're just like, "Yeah, one day, eventually." So the fact that John finally brought their Wii U to us was really just a blessing. So it's literally been in the works for a really long time.
Yeah,
nice.
It sucks that two Zeldas are not readily available, and arguably, at least from my perspective, they're two of the better, if not the best Zeldas. Not many people had Wii U's. It's one of the reasons why it was kind of one of the sleeper systems. And I can't imagine it would be that hard to port those games.
But remember,
over.
this game came out on the GameCube originally.
It did, yeah.
So
but at least recently, some of them had remakes.
Yeah, they were like, you had 3 chances, 3 generations to get this, and now we're going to take it away. We're put it in the vault until who knows when. But I mean, they got to be thinking about releasing it again to a Switch, right?
I feel like I did a search and it said they have 0 plans to do it. Which, who knows? Who knows what's going to change?
Yeah,
people will rebuy these. I don't think it's a case of that. People bought Skyward Sword, and that was the closest. In terms. I know it. We'll have our Skyward Sword episode when Scott beats that. But I feel like they did that one, so why not the rest of them? But anyways, Scott, how many Zeldas are in your belt now?
Okay, I was trying to make a list, and I should have asked you beforehand. I played A Link Between Worlds, or A Link to the Past. Okay.
A Link Between Worlds.
A Link Between Worlds. I played Link's Awakening. I've played Minish Cap. I am currently playing Breath of the Wild. And I've seen you play a handful of other ones. I'm not sure if there are any other ones that I've played, but those are the big ones.
Crossbow training.
Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening, Link Between Worlds, Minish Cap, Wind Waker now, and then I've started playing Breath of the Wild.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
No Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask.
It's on the list.
Listen,
it's on the list.
There's a list.
We have them.
We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
Get in line.
So I guess where I want to start this conversation, I think this is a really good place. Where does this game rank for you? Zach, I know you've played almost all of them, and then if not all of them, right?
Pretty close, yeah.
Scott, you've played 4 now. So just from what you've experienced, what you've played, where is this game landing for you guys?
Scott, you go first since you just played.
Yeah, this one, I think, after much consideration, I literally beat it yesterday. Or last night. After much consideration, I think Minish Cap is still my favorite, but this is right beneath Minish Cap. It's a very, very, very close second. I loved it.
What were the reasons why you think that something like Minish edges out over Wind Waker?
I always get in trouble for this, but Minish Cap was just so cute. Minish Cap was so cute. And not that this wasn't. But I did love that. But I don't know. I think even though I haven't played a lot of Zelda games or just games in general, I think there's just something really special to me still about going through all the different landscapes and the variety of different it wasn't worlds in Minish Caps, but each part of the map, each different area was still just so fun. Whereas in Wind Waker, the variety was in the islands were a little different, but they were still islands, and then the dungeons were obviously different, but that's in every game. So I think that that variety in Minish Cap was a little bit more fun to me, but I still also really liked Wind Waker. There was a lot of Wind Waker that I liked more than.
Okay, well that's wrong. Your opinion's wrong. You're wrong. Just so you know, I didn't know if you knew. Did you know?
I know you tend to function better in like 2D than you do 3D, so I'm sure that's a part of it
Function
too. Like
better.
there's a I mean, I know that sounds really silly, but it's a
you
reality.
do better when there's no depth.
But it's
Honestly,
true. Watching him play, so he's played a little bit of Twilight Princess. And I remember, like, we had to stop that because he couldn't walk in a straight line. And you've leveled up your gamer since those days where, like, Breath of the Wild came out and we played together a little bit because of the anxiety that it caused you. Like, literally, like, just so much anxiety. So I can understand, like, having something as compact as Minish, thank you, is, like, a lot more streamlined for someone like you. Zach, how about you? Like, where does this land for you?
This is either 1 or 2. I'm gonna say I have a tie for first place, which I know is a cop out, but whatever.
No, I don't think it's cop out at all.
I mean, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask were like so very integral to like my childhood. I feel like just because those were the games that came out when I was like getting into gaming more, right? Like I had an SNES. And then like 64 came out, I don't know, 4 years after I got my NES or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. Long time ago. Decades. But so those are kind of nostalgia plays for me. Majora's Mask still scares me. So it's going to be Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker as number 1. Wind Waker might be... I've played Wind Waker way more than I played Ocarina, though I love both those games. But I don't know. You know, ask me tomorrow and it will be different. You know,
sure.
Like, oh,
yeah, well, that's the thing about it. That's why it's tied, right?
Yeah, but Wind Waker is super up there. And I know that might be a little bit of a hot take, too, I feel like I've heard in the community, where people think Wind Waker is such a departure from, like, the rest of the series that it, like, isn't good. But to me, it's delightful. To me, there's just something really special about it. And, again, that might just be personal nostalgia or playthrough or the time of life that I played it. But it's so good. It's so good. It's got a lot to love about it. And, yeah, I hope it comes back around so I can play it again on a modern console.
Okay, that was something I was going to ask the both of you. Did you both play it on GameCube when it originally came out in like 2003-ish? Okay.
Yep.
My brother
and I had a
got
printout.
Me... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just saying I have a printout of the map. This is before the Wii U version where you could like actually see the map better or whatever, or navigate it better. And I had a printout of the map folded up in the game case, like right where the manual goes, so I could reference it. And I remember always trying to like push it shut to get the disc back in there because I was like, I need this map. I need this map. Yeah.
That's so
Go ahead,
cool.
Patrick.
I actually had the Canadian version, so because my brother got it for me, so on launch.
So it was the Great Lakes.
No, but my
so I had a couple extra U's in it.
Instruction manual. It has literally standard English and then French, so it was like the double manual. With a map too. So whoever broke into my dorm room in college and stole all my games, if you see it, there's a Canadian version of Wind Waker.
Yeah, I hope you speak French, bitch.
Yeah, shout out to that person if they're listening. Shout out.
Yeah, they could be here.
You never. It's probably John or someone in our chat, or Peter. It was Peter.
Or Jason.
The one that let you use the Wii U is the one that stole it originally.
Yeah, he's like, circle. Joke's on you. This is your original. I guess that was GameCube.
I get what you mean, and I know you and I have talked about the whole like Wind Waker's stink, and I think it's because you have this whole adult Link journey in Ocarina of Time.
Sure.
And I think that brought in a greater audience. So people were very excited to see like a more adult, mature Link, which I know you're a kid in the beginning of the game, of course, but that was exciting for people. And then I think that's why Majora's Mask was a little bit more niche, and I think that's why we kind of see that here in Wind Waker, which Wind Waker is in my top 3. It's definitely among the faves for sure. But
it was such a huge departure too from the thing that they established with Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask too. I feel like I remember seeing concept art before they had like announced it, and it was like cell shading. What's that? Have they done that in video games before? And it was like, wow, this doesn't even look like Zelda. And I remember being like, oh my god, this is gonna be a flop, high flop. But it was such a departure. I think that's what kind of maybe turned some people off, because they were expecting more Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, because those did so well, and this was such a left turn.
Okay, I was gonna ask you both about that.
Hang on, I was gonna say, like, I am there for cel shading games, and like knowing cel shaded games and graphics and styles, and just the energy that brings like into a game. It makes it a lot more Saturday morning cartoon back in the day. there were a lot of games coming out at that time that were cel shaded, like Okami, Wild Arms 3. Like it was kind of the thing of the early 2000s. I think you and I, when we were talking one day, Zach, did you say that it was the first cel shaded game? And I was like, maybe not. Like I think there were a couple others that were going at the time, or was that not you?
I don't know if that was me, but there's probably a little bit of just like it was the most popular cel shaded game that came out. I mean, Okami obviously was really popular too. I think it might have won like a bunch of awards or something at some point in time. But it felt like that was like kind of the first foray into like the AAA title cel shading, maybe. I don't know.
And people were definitely off put by that, because I mean, like a lot of adult gamers didn't want something like that. They wanted what other games were bringing at the time. If you like look at PS2 and you see something like Final Fantasy X, I think people wanted the Final Fantasy X of Zelda. Like they wanted high tier, high caliber graphics. I think Resident Evil 1 remake came out sometime ago. Around that time too.
GameCube.
Maybe we had images of it, and same system, and we have this like super, like one of the best, still a great looking game. Like Resident Evil
she holds up.
A great looking game, but like that wasn't Wind Waker. So I always, and I know you two, the designers that you are, I love a highly styled game. Like that really brings a lot of joy to me. It doesn't have to be like the biggest AAA high fidelity graphics title. So like I'm sure that was very exciting for both of you as well whenever you played it.
Yeah. So, Scott, talk to us about the most surprising thing you felt in Wind Waker. Because obviously, again, you'd played Minish Cap and you played the other ones. Like, what felt the most different? What are things that you didn't like? What are things that you did like that improved upon other things? Like, just give us a little tour of your feelings on it.
That's a really good question. I mean, I always say the games are cute.
Thank you.
And cute. It was cute. So I'm going to check that off the list and I won't talk about it anymore.
But was it cute? But was
it was very cute. It was cute. It was also fashion.
It was fashion.
No, I think for me, like I know that I wasn't super into, I haven't always been like super into gaming. Like this is the most into gaming I've ever been. And I still don't know that like I'm a capital G gamer, especially not like you are, which is fine. Or like games do different things for me. But I think it was such a departure to me. Like it's not even that it was a departure for the other Zelda games and other games that I played. It was just like to me, it was just like a cool new style that I hadn't experienced yet. So from like the art and like departure conversation for me, I thought it was just cool. Like it was a new take, right?
Yeah.
So that was really cool to me. I also really appreciated that it was to me a really good hybrid of like a linear game and an open world game. Like my ADHD brain does not do well with like really open world games. And I prefer linear, but sometimes there are games that I play that are just like way too linear that it's just like it's easy to blow through without thinking about it. Which is, sometimes it's great, but I think that this one specifically was like a really good hybrid of being open world but also linear. Like I always knew where to go next and what to do next, but there also was like this whole at any point in time I could have gone and like uncovered the whole map. Because in the Wii U version, you can like you go to each island and you find the fish and you feed him bait, and then he like gives you the map, the sea chart, to that area that you could then see on the Wii U. So like it was cool that I could have just done that at any point in time, while also just making it kind of linear. So I really appreciated that.
Let's go into that a little bit more, because I want to talk about the sailing, because that is kind of like what is the pushing force or driving force in that exploring. And I know that is also a heated topic for a lot of people, but I love it. Like I love a different take on how to explore the world. You could argue that it's bland, there's not a lot of sights to see, but Scott, you were talking about open world games. There are a lot of times in open world games where you're not seeing much anyway, so here you get the chance to really just kind of like take in the world with those like wonderful graphics and see things off in the distance, as opposed to just a sea of trees or frustrating mountains that you like need to climb. Like here it really did have that true sense of exploration and discovery that I don't think a lot of games have. So I mean it's great.
It felt like too it was a very conscious choice for them, because they wanted to, obviously the GameCube wasn't as powerful as PlayStation 2. Nintendo's always lacked hardware power when it comes to that stuff. So to try and make a more open world game that they didn't have to populate, that could run well, the ocean, sea, whatever is a really smart choice, right? Because it's mostly flat. You don't have to put a lot of, mountain ranges and more polygons. You don't have to fill it because, as we all know as humans, the ocean feels empty even though everything goes on below it. So, like, to me, it was very smart, like, art direction and from the game devs and the creative directors and everything from that to go, okay, we want to make something that feels really big, and this gives us license to be a little empty too because it's the ocean. Like, they don't have to put something in every little pixel and every little detail like you would if it was, a mountain or a plain or a grassland or whatever. So to me, it was just very smart, and I just really appreciate that. And I think that's what kind of turns some people off is they expect more out of it, but really it's I think to also hide some of the limitations that Nintendo was up against with that console.
Nintendo's kind of an expert about doing that in a lot of their games and packing in so much into a game, but like hiding how they made this happen. And I know
and you don't feel it.
Yeah. I feel like until recently, you never felt it. Like, I think once the Wii U hit, it was probably the last system where you had a lot of crazy games. It's like, how did they make this happen? Like Xenoblade,
yeah,
and stuff like that. Like, there's so much game here, but like, that there's no, like, PlayStation would have struggled to do this.
Right.
One thing I want to touch on too, you talked about this, and I know Scott kind of glanced over it, which I think is like okay, because the game's so cute. You said about games and things that were surprises. As a kid, I did not see Tetra being Zelda. I did not know. Because especially coming off of Majora's Mask, how there's no Zelda in that game. Like, you don't see Zelda. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is the norm. Maybe Zelda's not going to be... And I know her name's in the title, but like, maybe she's not going to be in every game. So I did not see the whole like twist there, which, hey, spoilers, but oh well, it's been a while.
Dumbledore dies too, just so you know. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. You were gonna ask Scott something.
Well, yeah, Scott, how did you feel about that, especially coming in?
I really like Tetra as a character. Maybe it's because I also really like pirates typically. So I really liked that twist, and I didn't really like think of like Zelda much, because to me, like, she's not... I haven't played any games where she's like super involved. It's normally like she's just off in the background somewhere, like waiting to be saved or like doing her own thing, or both. So to me, it was like I really liked Tetra, and I do think that like that cutscene where you figure that out, as soon as that cutscene started, I was like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. I was like, yeah, okay, I guess I could have guessed that. But it almost, I think it, now that I think about it, I think it kind of bummed me out because I did like Tetra so much, and just like the fact that she was just like badass woman pirate, just like commanding
tomboy,
these, yeah, she was like commanding these men to do like her bidding for her, because she was obviously like scary to them. So I really appreciated that. So yeah,
it is kind of interesting to see that too. Like the second she becomes Zelda, this is also when she becomes, like, for
vulnerable.
lack of a better word, vulnerable and daintier. Like, and which is just a stark contrast, like you're saying, how she is. Like, Tetra is an exciting character. Tetra had her own game, right?
Triad.
That didn't release it.
Tetra's Triad, something.
Yeah, something like that. It didn't release in the US, though, did it? Or did
I don't know. I can't
remember.
Was it a GBA, DS, or was it
Tetris Trackers?
Tetris.
I think does that sound right? I think you're thinking Triple Triad from Final Fantasy VIII, the card game.
No, I thought there was Triad. I don't know.
Is it? Maybe. I don't know.
It was something alliterative.
Something like that. But no, I think it's cool characterization, and obviously, like, there are some other things that happen in some other Zeldas that we don't want to spoil for you. But like, I think you're right. Like, there's a big change, and it's a good lead up to that too.
Yeah. I also felt like they did a really good job with this guy, with Ganondorf. Like, he had a little bit of a reimagining. He was a little thicker, which is cool. And like, you see him in the beginning when he burns the whatchamacallit down, the like Night Fortress, or that's further in.
Yeah.
That's you get launched. But the first time you see him is in the Night Fortress, right? Because the bird kicks you out or whatever. Like, I know, I felt like they did a really good job of making him kind of just around you a little bit. You know, he's like always creeping in the background. He's trying to
as
find
opposed to
out who
like
Zelda
the
is.
random boss you fight at the end. Like he's a constant presence in a way. Yeah.
Which I thought was nice. And I mean, I just thought his character design was so cool too. Like, and then like how his swords come out of his little arms, his little, you know, he's got tricks. She's got stunts.
The
She's
final
a stunt queen.
boss
queen.
was final boss was really cool too with him.
Yeah.
And like the way they set that up was pretty cool.
And like the water's coming down and
it's beautiful.
And so
cool.
do any of you know where this one falls in the timeline again? I feel like it's really like far later because it's like after Hyrule has gone underwater.
There are three timelines.
New Zelda. Okay. Or is that like new? What is it called? Like New Zelda is the technical timeline or something?
All I know is there's one when like something Hyrule is sealed. The hero dies and the hero lives, and I think this is one where the hero, I'm so bad with this, maybe he dies in the final battle, and Hyrule is sealed, and that's why it is kind of like the continuation, because it, to me, also big shocker is right after discovering who Zelda is. If you've played Ocarina of Time and you go down underneath into the castle, like when you're outside, that is where you are walking into Hyrule Castle in Ocarina of Time. Like that's a really cool stark contrast. But yeah, there are three separate timelines. That's why Tears of the Kingdom is really weird, because it's kind of all of them at the same time. It's
kind of a confluence of them.
Yeah.
Well, and then the two, like the Korok seed kids, like those are supposed to be the like Kakariko village kids that turned into Koroks or something too, like that whole thing. And I don't know, it's wild. But I guess on that topic, like who was like, I think the NPCs and a lot of the characters have a lot of standouts in this game too. I felt like they had some like good personalities and how they accompanied to like the temples and stuff. Like, what was like some highlights for you guys of either like favorite NPCs or favorite like, you know, companions even?
I thought that the two dungeons where you have the companions, even though it was really annoying to have to take control of them constantly, is still really fun, just because it's not so much here is a new weapon or item that you get. It's like, also, how do I maneuver with this person? Which is one of the reasons why I really like this one a lot, just because it keeps you on your toes on the dungeon design. What about you, Scott?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I really like that too. I think at the beginning of both of those dungeons, I was like, for real? Like I have to babysit. But then I did end up liking it, even though like there were a couple times where it was kind of a pain to have to like go way back, especially because, again, I can't walk in a straight line. So if there was a moment where I like, if there was a moment where like not walking in a straight line failed me, which happened a lot, I would have to like not start the dungeon over, but I would have to like physically start at the beginning. But I still did. I really liked that part of it. And the fact that it was like very impactful. It wasn't just like some random person or thing that you had to do. Like each time had like, there were really good stories that were tied to that. So I appreciated that. But I think I really liked all of the NPCs in this one. Like there weren't any to me that really stood out as like annoying or boring or anything. Like I didn't do all of the side quests, which I think would be cool to like poke you both about here in a little bit. But I didn't do all the side quests, but some of them I didn't even realize when I was talking to Patrick about the game last night. I didn't realize that some of them were side quests because I was so into the stories.
Yeah.
Like
they interweave together nicely.
Yeah, like I didn't fully realize like, oh, this person just said this and now I'm like gonna go do this really cool thing. I just like didn't know that it was a side quest because it was so well done.
That's the beauty of old Zelda games, though, up until Breath of the Wild, where like you're doing side quests that don't feel like side quests because they're not all collect 20 of these, you know, like
until they're labeled as side
this
quests.
This game has this. Until they're labeled as side quests. This game has those, but like some of them you don't know that you're not doing something that's just a part of the narrative. Like you have to do the after all the girls are rescued and like following that one girl so you can get the bottle
because she's poor now.
Right. Yeah.
That one. Yeah. She's like her dad's rich or whatever. And now she's poor and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really care for her, but I did like that little merchant that she went for or whatever. Like,
yes.
Oh, I did also love all the little mini games in this game.
Oh, one of the best mini games in all of like mini gaming ever. Sploosh.
Which one?
Sploosh.
Oh, the battleship.
Yes.
Yeah, I will say, like, I like mini games a lot, and I thought having Battleship as one of the mini games was pretty great. Yeah, I love that. Oh, I'm sorry to step back, but Zach, I wanted to give you as much time as you need, but capping it at like 10 seconds to talk about your favorite NPC.
That's a really good question. I mean, I love Makar. He's so cute.
That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
What did you think I was gonna say? Who does she know?
The fish.
Tingle.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. I mean, here's the thing. I love Tingle. I will be getting a Tingle tattoo on my body sooner or later. Yeah. So again, and Patrick, you corrected me right before this podcast. I was like, wasn't this the first game of Tingle? No, he was in Majora's Mask. But Tingle really is a superstar here. Fairy boy, island boy. He's got his own island. He's amazing. He's everything. He gives you a tuner. Amazing. He's just so great. And shout out to my boy / non-binary person, Tingle. That was too long. I'm sorry.
Yeah, way past your time.
It was beautiful.
The lights were lighting up, telling you, but you went
you put me on the spot there, and I froze, and I was like, but yeah, Tingle's a star. Honestly, she ate in this.
I mean, to me, I think the king is pretty cool because
King of Red Lions.
Yeah, because this is the first time that you have a non-fairy guy, like coming off of Navi, which I can't wait for you to experience, and Tattle. Can't wait to experience those and how wonderful companions they are. But like the king is great. Like he has a personality. Another gag that you don't see coming in the game at all. And just how he's like a dual presence of being your way of travel, but also like being the ruler of a kingdom lost in time, Like,
and he's kind of the first like vehicle in Zelda too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Am I
well, Epona, but I mean,
oh, like, sure, he's your Epona. Yeah, duh.
Yeah, basically he is your Epona.
He's your Epona. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah,
but really crucial because Epona is kind of, I mean, you kind of have to use her sometimes, but like she's less critical to getting around in the game than the King of Red Lions is, because like you wouldn't, I mean, you just can't not use him.
Right.
Yeah.
I really appreciated him, and I will say too, I know this gets me caught up in a lot of games, but I appreciated that he was my lifesaver in this game because yes, my daddy. I always appreciate when there's like a character or like an NPC that I can like talk to give me a little nudge on what to do next.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that about him.
That's definitely the nice thing about. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. You're gonna finish. I thought I was gonna totally just misdirect us.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one of the nice things about just Zelda design compared to a lot of games that are like it, where I think aside from having guides that are a little overbearing, like it's just nice to have games where you do have guides that can suggest you and tell you what to do. I prefer something like that than just like a red dot on a map. It was nice to have these like little moments where, if you're really lost, like your person might chime in and be like, look up, and like look over there, and it kind of gives you an idea. Look over there.
Look up.
Just like the Minish Cap
Jada
did.
Essence Hall.
Exactly. So I think they do a really good job with that. But I don't think that Tattle and Navi really had personalities, so I don't really think
they were just rude.
Right. Where like from here, I think we have this trend of really good. Well, Midna is kind of rude and annoying, but I mean, at least she's endearing at the same time. Yeah, she plays more.
She's going through a lot.
Of the story. Yeah.
So
it's cool. Like I enjoy that. But yeah, Zach, where were we going to pivot to? Where are we going?
I was going to talk about like actually the titular. No, I guess it's not titular. Just the title. The title is obviously related to wind waking and songs, and you get to conduct the winds and all of that. Like, how did you guys feel about that mechanic? Obviously, you're still playing songs, so it's kind of the ocarina, but it's like the ocarina because before the Wii U version, you had to change the direction of the wind every time, which, you know, maybe one too many times. Maybe the gimmick ran out a little bit, but I thought it was a cool kind of mechanic. So I just wanted to hear what you guys thought about just the Wind Waker part, essentially.
I think navigating the wind is good. But I think you're right. Being someone who played it before and playing it now, like, it was annoying, and you can also completely miss the sail that lets you change the wind immediately. Yeah. Like, so if you don't get that, you're still doing that in this version. What did you think, Scott? Especially coming in, I feel like it wasn't so much of a burden for you.
Yeah, I really liked the actual like Wind Waker and the changing the songs. I thought it was really cool, especially how it played into different things. Like, it's not like it wasn't just like a key that you had to get to unlock something. So I appreciated that made things a little bit different. I kind of wish they had worked it into puzzles a little bit more in different ways, other than just like looking at the little seal on the ground and like knowing to play that song and then a door to unlock.
Zelda's Lullaby style.
Yeah. Like, even if it was just like different songs that you didn't necessarily learn or something, but it'd been cool if you had to learn it in different ways. But back to the sailing, I was going to say that earlier when we were talking about like the open world aspect. I think the map was like the right size in like the 7x7 grid. I think it was. So I liked that. I liked it was clever that you had to change the wind to get to where you were needing to go. I think that I think I got that new sail at the right time, because I probably would have started getting annoyed with that. Yeah. And maybe that's because I got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this time to like unlock the whole map. So I was doing a lot of sailing versus like doing it slowly throughout the game. So maybe that was part of it too, but it was also really helpful to have that sail.
Yeah. And you love seamen. So
yes,
great.
Yeah, I can confirm that for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I loved the seamen in the U-boats. What do you call it? Submarines? Why did I
U-boats?
Unterseebootens, which I think is
Wolf Panzer.
Yeah, like a butchered way to say it in German. But I did like that. I did like the U-boat, the submarines. Jeez, the submarines.
Submarines were fun. And little submarine guys.
Yeah, I liked the way that all the ways that's just. Am I okay? I liked all the different ways that the seamen showed up in the game. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yes, yeah, you liked how plentiful they were.
Zach, you brought up the music part, and personally, I think that it was a little bit more of a downgrade in this game from Ocarina, because there were just a lot more songs. Where in this one it was like your fast travel song, the time song, the wind song, and then dungeon songs for the most part. Well, I guess the control song was pretty pivotal
for both those temples.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know, there was something more musical about Ocarina of Time compared to this game. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I felt like that was, again, a choice to not just make the same thing. Like, okay, now each temple is going to have its own song, like that kind of stuff. So I appreciate that. Tap out. I appreciate the variety of it. And obviously you still have to play songs a lot in this one, but it is mostly directing the wind. Versus like, okay, now I need to go to Temple of Time, now I need to go to, Fire Temple, and having to remember, like, oh god, what was the Bolero of Fire again? Like, so I appreciate that. I felt like they simplified it. I also liked how you could split it up into time, like measures or whatever. I'm not musical in that sense.
Like the tempo,
Tempo, yes, thank you, tempo. Which I thought was a really cool aspect. Times New Roman. And it added a little bit of just like actual musicality to it, which was cool, like having to like be on beat. So I appreciate how they did that. I really like the song system. I think, obviously that generation of Zelda and the one right before it was so musically dependent that I thought it was a cool way to kind of reinterpret it.
Absolutely. I know, I think that's something they continued to try, especially in the DS titles, and I don't think they did it so successfully, because I think it's Spirit Tracks where you get it's not a flute, but I mean, what's it called?
Piccolo thing or something?
Yeah, and you literally have to blow into the DS, because it has the blowing mechanic. They're like, oh, we have to figure out how to use the blowing mechanic, and it's just so cumbersome to use, like almost to the point where this wasn't a gimmick, that was a gimmick. Speaking of gimmicks and maybe cutting out some of the fat, I know one thing when Scott and I were talking about that he didn't have to. Well, yeah. So you need to log off, Zach. No, no. I want to talk about some of the changes from the original to this one, but specifically, I think the important one I want to talk about, which is what ruined the original game for me, was acquiring the Triforce pieces and what they changed in this one. Like that was such a slog. So yes. Scott, I want you to talk about like just finding the Triforce pieces, what that was like, and then Zach, I want you to talk about like what it was like back in the day, back in
my day when I had to find all 60 pieces of the Triforce.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't know it was a thing. Like it was just You did. I didn't do a lot of like the regular treasure maps. Like I got a ton of them, but I didn't actually like use them. So to me, it was like, by the time I got to him, what is wrong with him? I broke first, and now he broke. He's like turning purple. Are you okay? Are we okay to carry on?
Should we cut? We should cut. No, everyone cut.
Yeah. No, we're leaving
I'm
it
listening,
in.
Scott.
Thank you. Anyway, I didn't use any of the regular treasure maps because I was too busy adventuring and having fun with the story. So by the time I got to needing to get the different Triforce pieces, which I still stand by the fact that, I was going to say me, but maybe the three of us now should get different Triforce pieces. And then when we like all link up arms or something, it's the Triforce.
Zach's the evil one.
Is that
still
oh, that's fine. I'll take power. Yeah, I'll take
power.
Yeah. Like, right, like, you know, like,
power bottom.
Yeah.
Whoa. You stack, you know.
Yeah, so if we just like,
we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
If you have any ideas in the chat,
comment let us know. So,
but Triforce seeking.
No. By the time I got to that point, I liked using the little treasure maps to find the Triforce pieces because I hadn't been using the other treasure maps. But
how'd you feel about having to pay for them though?
Okay, that was a little weird because they were kind of expensive.
I think we decided it's like $2.97 or $3.97.
It was $3.98 or something like that.
It's something obscene.
Random number.
So Zach, why don't you talk about that? Because one thing Scott didn't have to experience is like literally he had to find all 8, and you'd find the map, go to Tingle, cash it in.
Yeah.
What was that like for us back in the day?
It was a lot harder. I feel like I definitely looked up a couple because I was like, this is the I think the reason why I did ultimately is because the pacing changed so much. It was like, oh my God, you're working towards this big moment. You're awakening these sages, like holy crap. And then it's like, oh, and then we forgot to tell you this thing is it's split and it's all over the world. And some of them are going to be kind of cumbersome to find. Like cool idea. You have to remake this piece of the Triforce, but getting to it and then also 8, like
and paying so many
it. Without the fast sale.
Without the
fast sale.
And then like trying to find the place where you hear the music, where you can drop the little thing to grab the little, like it was just a lot. And I felt like they could have either helped more in the original or had less shards. Like that's 8 is a lot after you feel like you've gone through kind of the 2 stages of Zelda, like especially when it comes to like Ocarina, like, oh, I was a kid and I did those temples and now as an adult, I did those temples and then I go fight the boss. Like this was those first temples, the second temples, and then a whole nother thing that took pretty much the same amount of time, at least for me in the original playthrough, as that like first couple temples or whatever. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was definitely cumbersome. I get what they're trying to do still. I appreciate the effort, but it's the one thing that I don't look forward to in replaying this.
You can't even say
it's one of those things. Wii U.
Well, yeah, let's play the Wii U. It's one of those things you can't even say that it was like the intended design to do them as you're doing those final 2 dungeons because there are 2 that you can't even get until you get those final items. And some of the locations that you go to are exciting. Like the ghost ship can be a little fun, like if they really made those more fun, then that would be great. But like 3 of them are just combat. And like it's not. Wind Waker is not known for having like stellar combat. Like it is a step up from Ocarina of Time for sure, but it's not incredible. So
the parry system's fun. The dodge parry system, I like that. Where you like, oh, I chopped off this guy's armor because I rolled around him. Like the iron knuckles. Like, I like that. But
that's also like one of the only times you have to use that too.
Yeah, that's true. That's also true. That's very true. Yeah. Okay, quick question. Favorite weapon in the game? Go.
Scott?
I love a bow and arrow. I love a bow and arrow. I don't love the gamepad I don't love the gamepad, but
like
I
second
did.
Screen, you mean? Like
Yeah.
the second screen of it? Yeah.
Well, that and I did not love the second screen being so separate, but it was cool when I was not in a battle struggling with the 3D of it all. It was not cool to like like when I wasn't in that, when it was just casual, it was really fun to use like the gamepad to like the gyroscope and the gamepad to like aim the bow and arrow. Like I love that. But I'm a bow and arrow gal.
And you get fire arrows and ice arrows and light
and eventually
arrows.
Light arrows.
Yes,
yeah,
girl.
I agree. It's definitely not, especially with how bad like the Wii and Wii U sensors are for that, and like doing the aiming of any of them. Like it's not fun. Like it is one of those things where it's just better on a controller where you can point and shoot.
Yes,
I had a hard time pointing sometimes with the boomerang or the bow and arrow too. What about you, Zach? What was your favorite item? Not that way you don't already know.
I mean, you guys already know this. This is just for the video. This is only for the people that obviously don't know this. But it's the skull hammer. I love the skull hammer. I thought the Megaton hammer was really cool in Ocarina, but the skull hammer is a certain level of just borrowing your word, Scott, cute, that I love so much. I loved going to get it. I love how when you swing overhead, it like bends to like the physics of like the weight of the actual hammerhead. I think it's so fun. It's a kind of useless weapon too. You only have to use it a couple times just to hit those really hard switches, but I loved walking around that thing and hitting all the imps, the little like guys that like crowd up and just swinging for the fences.
Oh yeah,
like there's something very satisfying in that. I thought they did a really good job with the weapons in this game. Like even how the boomerang can multi-target. Like love that.
Yeah, that was cool.
Like, that was a cool mechanic. So, but it's the skull hammer for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
What
about you, Patrick?
I am surprised that it's not a tattoo you have somewhere on your body.
Yeah. It will be. It will be. My body will just be covered in Wind Waker tattoos. By the time I'm 50.
Also, while I was texting Zach and Patrick about this game as I was playing it, every few days I would get like a new like drawing from Zach that was like a tattoo style drawing that he did of like something from Wind Waker, whether that was Tingle or
show it.
The skull hammer. We can put it up on the video too. Like just so many Wind Waker little drawings, including the skull hammer and Tingle.
Come on.
Yeah,
so cute.
So that'll be on Zach's body at some point. Okay, so what was your
new sticker? New RPGaymer sticker.
Could be.
Check out.
I think for me, this is probably like a little bit of a hot take, but I really like the grappling hook as opposed to the hook shot. Just because I think it's fun swinging places, but it also has a mechanic that Scott you didn't use, which is totally okay. But me being the collector and wanting to get everything in the game, if you use it on enemies, like if you lock on and he's spinning, you steal from them.
Yeah.
So all those items that you get from them, you could like double up because you could steal one from, especially those birds, because you never see them.
Joy pendants.
Yeah. Joy pendants. It was the night. Like all of them, all of the things that you could collect.
The necklaces.
Or even just the what were the slimes called?
The chew jellies.
Chew jellies. Yeah, like everything like that, you could get one extra up just by whipping out your grappling hook and using that. And I just thought that was fun because it added some like versatility to the items that you don't usually see, because everything is just kind of like, does this damage, or like you're saying, it's puzzle only, no other purpose. And I think everything should have at least some kind of viability in all situations, so that's why I really liked that. Yeah, it's not doing any damage, but like, hey, you're stealing this item, or maybe it could have been like you steal this person's weapon. Like there were a lot of times where you're fighting against the moblins and they block with their spears. Well, what if you use that and you like rip the spear out of their hands? Like that would have been so cool. So little things like that.
Yeah, it's true. They did have a lot of utility. And now that you're talking about that, like everything had kind of multiple utilities to them, which is...
Yeah, the Korok leaf could blow a lot of the little guys away, which was nice. And then you float with it. Like, so, a bunch of little things. Okay, any last words on Wind Waker before we move on? Any little things that you want to touch on? Like, for example, Scott, do you need to... I know we haven't talked about it yet, but do you need to talk about how cute it is?
Ooh, that's a really good point. I did love how cute it was.
I will say, to touch on that, like the way Link emotes, whether it's him getting hit or like just like all of his faces, like the way his eyes get larger. I think when he swings the hammer, like he has a unique face for that. He has a very like grossed out face for a lot of things. Like that's great. More of that, please.
Yeah, I loved the art in the whole game. I will say too, I was going to bring this up earlier. I think it's been over a year ago now since I designed the Wind Waker postcard for the RPGaymer Patreon,
So good.
which is now available on the RPGaymer Etsy. I don't think we have that many left. If you like Wind Waker, plug. But I remember when I started making that postcard, I like didn't love the art style, and I was going to try something different. And you're like, no, but like it has to look like this like cel shading because that's like the thing.
Yes.
And back then I was like okay, like I guess I'll like. I was doing it on my iPad, so I wanted it to be more like tactical with, you know, my pencil or whatever. But I was like, okay, whatever. And now I like get it.
Yeah,
now I fully get it.
And maybe there's a new Wind Waker design in the works, maybe too.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like I said, we're going to be running out of these postcards soon. So maybe it will be replaced with a new Wind Waker postcard. I don't know. We'll see. Depends. I've got a lot going on. So.
Shameless. You guys are shameless. All right. Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to be a part of our community, make sure you head on over to our Discord at Hey RPGaymer. We have a great community and we have questions going on every day. So make sure you come and be a part of that. We want to thank you all for listening. Now go out there and get gaming.